Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I'm pretty excited because I get another opportunity to talk about my summoner, which is the class I wanted to main since Lost Ark released here in the West. It's coming out next month in December, so we have about 3 weeks until then, and I would like to share with you everything I've done, everything I'm currently doing, and what I will continue to do for the next 3 weeks to get ready to get that summoner from 0 all the way up to 1500, which is going to be sort of the end game by the time summoner comes out. But regardless of whether you're gonna main a summoner yourself or have it as an alt or not interested in the class at all, the steps and tips that we're gonna be discussing in today's video are going to help you for any future class release in Lost Ark, and it's much better to be prepared ahead of time than to start preparing a few days before or after the class comes out, especially for much more popular classes that are going to be released, for example, in the future, since summoner is not that popular, so not a lot of things will change. It's just, you know, your sanity in preparing for something beforehand if you want to main it. Now, I'm showing you this spreadsheet just to get it out of the way. I will talk about everything that's here towards the end of the video. A super cool resource to track and monitor your progress towards are you ready or not to reach the specific item level that you have your goal for. I'm starting with 1445, and that's because we have currently an event in game, this one right here. It is a hyper express event that takes you from 1302 all the way up to 1445. If you're planning to play summoner, you can definitely keep it because there's not going to be any other boost events when the summoner comes out. This came out with the Reaper just a few days ago, and alongside this, everyone that's currently playing the game and has finished their Punica story quests also received a Punica Power Pass for free, which takes you to item level 1302 from 0. And that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing with my summoner. Having that aside, let's get into the things that you need and stuff that I have prepared with. First of all, stones. These are pretty obvious. You get them from Chaos Dungeons and Guardian Raids. This is the bulk majority of the stones you're gonna get. Obviously, there's a lot of events and NPCs that offer you stones. We're gonna get into them in a moment. A tip here would be sort of camping the auction house on Wednesday for a few hours after the weekly reset. Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, right after the daily server reset is another good time to buy these stones, as people generally farm their Chaos Dungeons on as many characters during the weekend. And you can find stones with 1, maybe 2 gold cheaper than what you can find for the rest of the week or at different times. If you have excess pirate coins because of all the free seed tokens we got, then the exchange ship adds some little value if you do it on many characters every week. Leap stones are a rare commodity, and it's going to be one of the hardest things that you can get in order to take a new class all the way up to very high item levels. The best way to put some aside is something that you probably already know and that I've been doing for a very long time, which is Guardian Raids every day on as many characters as possible. And that's without energy of repose, because if you use energy of repose, you're gonna get that much fewer, and you're not gonna have enough anyway, unless you start putting aside 4 or 5 months in advance, right? Especially if you want to reach a very high item level like I do. So some are still gonna be having to be purchased. A great way to purchase Greater Honor Leapstones would be looking at lostarkmarket.online. This, you can select your region up here, and you can sort of see if they are spiking right now. Should you buy them now, or should you wait until later when maybe they can reach another low-ish point, which is more worth it for you? Oreha fusion material is something that you can put aside easily by either fishing, archaeology, or hunting in the open world, and then just crafting them at your stronghold. Even if you start today, you have plenty of energy of work that you can gather and craft yourself all of the basic Oreha fusion materials that you need to even reach 1500, which is roughly about 6,000 of them. Roster tradable honor shards are also very hard to come by, but the best farmable way to get them is by doing your chaos gates diligently. Every day there's a chaos gate. You go there, you get your shards, and you get your map at the end. If you get blue maps, combine 3 of them into a purple at any NPC in any major town. Legendary and epic maps should be done as is. As for the Chaos Shards, I always buy the 1900 shard box from the Southern Merchant because I like a little bit of gamble in my life. So I don't buy the cheaper boxes with just purple and blue. I buy the one that could potentially give me a legendary map as well. One other thing I will do myself during the last week before release is to overfarm Chaos Dungeons. This is a good but very time-consuming way of farming extra honing materials for a future class, because the shards are roster-wide, so you can get them now and use them later on your summoner. In my opinion, only the honor shards and maybe the leap stones are worth buying. An extra little help here are the crystallized longings, which you will exchange later on your summoner also for accessories, and you have a tiny chance of getting something good that you can use yourself, because they are untradeable once you get them, the accessories and the honing materials as well. My plan is to do this like Chaos Dungeons, overfarm them for 6 hours a day every day during the last 7 days before release, just so I can have a bunch of them. Definitely not enough to maybe consume them 2 weeks on my summoner. On a similar note, PvP tokens are also roster bound. Farming them now, if you enjoy PvP, and buying stuff on your summoner with them is, again, another good idea. If you have not finished your Thronespire dungeon, who knows? Maybe you forgot. I'm just here to be thorough, right? That's a big chunk of one-time honing materials there. You can do it on your summoner. Same thing for the Chaos line. You never know. It's like 6 months old content, but you never know. Maybe you kept it. Farming the blood magic now, using it later on a summoner, same exact principle, yeah? Silver is another currency that you need for honing. This is very easy to get. You only really need around 20 million, and that's not that big of a deal. A tip here would be to, if you don't have enough time, right, because there's so much to do in Lost Ark, would be to just send your dispatch to finish your cubes for you. Now, very often you get like an A rank, which gives you less silver than you would actually complete that cube yourself, but also very often you get an S rank, which actually gives you the full amount of rewards as if you would have completed a full run yourself. Gold is another resource that's obviously really important, and unlike silver, is not that easy to come by. So there are a couple of ways that you can count on to give you gold on a weekly basis, similar amount like the Legion raid runs you have. You have your Unas tokens, you have your event islands that give you gold. More gold can be earned, for example, if you're bossing a Legion raid as opposed to just doing it with your friends. So that's an extra way of earning gold. However, the big boy gold is earned by either getting lucky with something that drops for you and you sell it to some other person, or using your credit card. My spreadsheet for my personal goal tells me that I need roughly 120,000 gold just to press the hone button. So this amount, I would absolutely have to have at least this, if not more, ready for when the summoner comes around, assuming I already have all of the other honing materials. And as a person who's getting ready for a new class, might that be summoner or artist next year, you cannot really afford to sell everything that you get. Your gems, you sell them, your mats, you sell, because you actually need them for yourself, right? So it's a tough spot to be in if you start preparing for a new class and you want to reach super high like a few weeks before or maybe a month before. However, if you start this particular process, maybe you're interested in artists for next year, if you start this process now, most likely, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to have everything you need to reach a very high item level, to have your gems, to have a lot of surplus gold. The more you play and the more, you do things, the more content you do, the more chances you have to possibly get lucky, right? In my case, I already told my friends, this Christmas, I've been waiting for Lost Ark for 3 years. I've been waiting for Summoner for almost another year, and it's also coming out around Christmas. This year for Christmas, don't get me any more socks and any more underwear. Just give me a 10 euro Steam gift card. Speaking of events and holding materials, there are many boxes you can put aside for your summoner. For example, all of the ARK pass rewards, right? I threw mine in the roster warehouse for my summoner. Every daily login reward from the current event and past ones as well. All of the weekly challenge content rewards, all of these boxes. Again, Aldebaran Festival, honing materials, all the compensation rewards from your product inventory, by the way, very important. They don't expire, so why not keep them for your summoner if you're planning to main it, right? For example, this one, gives you one legendary class engraving, which is priceless, right, for the summoner upon release. This one gives you 2 hope amulets, which are guaranteed level 4 tripods of your choice. This is a huge asset again for getting some of your most valuable tripods day one, like for example the crit tripod on Shruti, right? This one gives you more full loot entries for the Chaos Dungeons, which in turn drops amulets for tripods and bound honor shards, which you will be missing anyway. So there's very nice in your product inventory here, very nice things to keep aside, right? The more they mess up with the servers, the more the better it's going to be for us that play Summoner, right? The Mayhem Mark NPC is something that I wanted to mention, gives some really good rewards. So if you can, put some Mayhem Marks aside and get the stone chests, the hope amulets for 2 more level 4 guaranteed tripods, and not to mention the leapstone and honor shard bags, which are just absolutely glorious, assuming you didn't get them already. If you have excess Mayhem Marks, you can also opt to buy the books on a weekly basis and basically store them in their chest inside the roster warehouse, take them on your summoner. Another super important NPC is on Anguished Island. This one not only sells you 2 legendary class engraving books, which again, for the 3rd time, priceless for a new class release, but also green, blue and purple ones, plus 50 boxes of just the regular leapstones per character, by the way. So if you have like 10 characters of item level 1302 or higher, that's 500 of these ancient leapstones, or 100 greater if you exchange them on your summoner. The daily quest here can be completed only once per day per roster, by the way. You have time, even if you do this dungeon every day for the next 3 weeks from the moment of this video, you have plenty of time to gather enough of these crimson skeins to empty the merchant on all of your 10 characters if you have that many. And on the same note of engravings, the event frog merchant called Twinkle Twinkle gives you 6 pouches of random legendary engraving books per week. Buying these now and not opening them until Summoner comes out might yeet you a summoner class engraving then as well, or more if you're lucky, right? On the engraving note again, I also wanted to talk about accessories. I personally have a very specific plan when it comes to reaching 5 level 3 engravings, so I was able to camp and find really good deals for my summoner's accessories beforehand, like for example this earring or this 7,000 gold necklace. They don't come very often, but you can get lucky, and in some cases it makes it worth the double feons that you spend on them, because you have to mail them to your summoner, right? So you deduct 1 trade from the tradability of the accessory, but you also pay another 25 feons. So sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. You have to camp and maybe hope to get lucky. Having that said, this is me who's doing this, and I'm not doing it because of any FOMO. I don't want you to suffer from any FOMO either, because it's not like anything is gonna happen to the prices of these accessories just because Summoner comes out. They are sort of universal and many classes use them, so there's no need really to rush into buying them unless you find a really good deal. However, there is value in getting most of them ready beforehand so that you wouldn't end up paying a lot just because at the time of the release there is no cheaper combo that wouldn't give you a red, for example, right? This is up to you. One thing you will be missing is, regardless of what you do now, is an accessory with at least 3 points of your preferred class engraving, right? Because ideally you would have all the legendary books and that gets you to 12 points, but you would be missing 3. This will have to be purchased after the patch hits, when people actually start dropping Summoner class engravings, in order to complete the level 3 class, right? Saving the cheapest combination for this accessory is a big brain idea, and that's a class 3, something else 3 that you're using, ring or earring in the worst case scenario, So it could be legendary too, for example, right? Doesn't have to necessarily be relic, but it can. I have also saved a Grudge 3 class 3 ring for after, and I'm hoping to maybe get lucky and get it myself from all of the boxes I have saved up from my challenge weekly content, for example, which is another way to prepare, by the way. Not to mention the extra chaos dungeon shards, and because we're doing extra chaos dungeons, they net you some accessories for the second type of material that you get anyway, so there's a tiny chance from there as well. Specialization summoner also needs at least 3 good wealth runes, and I highly recommend the legendary Galewind 2 and the legendary Bleed is nice to have. Swiftness summoner needs the Judgment and Conviction runes, Galewind and a Bleed also, so you can prepare for that by farming them beforehand in case you don't already have them. You can use the codex, for example, if you're newer to the game and you don't know where to get them from. What else do we want to talk about? How to make some money, right? If you're not planning to main a summoner, if you're just planning to have the summoner as an ult, or you're not planning to play it at all. First thing is to look at the things we're gonna need, us who want a main summoner and get it to endgame fast. We're gonna need that accessory we discussed, the 3 class accessory, and then another 3 at least of something else that's part of the meta engravings. So you would have to know what are the meta engravings for a specialization summoner and also a swiftness summoner. I'm gonna throw them on the screen right here. So I encourage you to hover over your legendary accessories, hover over your relic accessories as well, because you never know when you actually got a class accessory that can sell for a lot of money during week 1 for brand new summoners, right? That's thing number 1. Thing number 2 that we need is to finish up our legendary class engraving. There's no way you can put aside now so many selection boxes for legendary class engravings that you would have like 20 pieces then. So we're gonna have to buy them from the auction house. Something that you can do to get ready for that time is to buy these current Twinkle Twinkle Frog event boxes and not open them, hoping that the satchels are going to be refreshed, and then when you open them in December, you could potentially drop a summoner class engraving, same as right now you drop a Shadowhunter one and you're happy, right? The only downside to buying these and keeping them, if you're trying to make some money, is that maybe you're not really gonna make any money, since by that time in December, if you just keep them in your bag, the current prices of engravings that you could get from them and sell them now, so while they're still sort of in the middle towards the high side, you might be losing out on that. Or maybe they're just gonna go skyrocket again after this event is over. Good tripods are also something that a summoner main is gonna be crazy for in the first couple of weeks, so if you have a summoner yourself and use it as an ult, this might be another opportunity for you to throw them on the auction house, right? Lastly, the spreadsheet that I showed you at the beginning of the video. This is a fantastic resource to track not only for your summoner but also for any future class release, right? This is where you set your goal, where you start off at, and where you want to reach. And here in all of these yellow fields, you can customize based on how much you have gathered so far. How many stacks, like full stacks, 9999 of red stones do you have? Blue stones the same. Greater honor leap stones, how many do you have right now in your warehouse? And the spreadsheet just calculates a total for you, and it goes the same for every other type of material that you want to add in here. In the next tab, which is called progress, here is where you see an overview of what you have added previously and what you need in total. If I would stop playing Lost Ark today and I would just be left with the materials that I currently have saved up and come back when the summoner gets released, I would still need to pay 572,000 gold to purchase the rest of the materials I'm missing to get from 1445 to 1500. The prices are calculated based off Lost Ark market. It also takes in consideration Max Roll's average scenario for honing, right, to get to this item level, and it keeps in mind that you have all of your stronghold research enabled. This is how the spreadsheet works. How you use it is file, make a copy, and only afterwards you're going to be able to edit all of these yellow fields. This was everything from me for today's video. I will see you again very soon in my next video or my next live stream over on Twitch. Until then, I wish you a lot of fun in game. Happy gathering for Summoner, and take it easy. Bye bye.